Do you remember the scene in Ghostbusters where you got these guys and they've started this, business, and they're really not sure if there's going to be any demand, if the business is going to take off, and then suddenly they get a call, and one of them shouts, "We got one! We got a customer!" And I would have to say the same thing about the FBI. We got one, and what I mean by this is that we have busted Attorney General Merrick Garland on his huge lie that he is not, and his agency, the DOJ, the FBI, let's remember, is under the DOJ, that the FBI and the DOJ are not going after parents, not labeling them as domestic terrorists. In fact, not even eavesdropping on parents' meetings, school board meetings, that the FBI is not going to start tracking what parents say, that none of this is really going on, that they are merely looking for cases of real violence, of domestic terrorism, but this is not a systematic campaign against the parents, concerned parents of America, parents who are merely outspoken or agitating on behalf of their children. They have every right as parents, and they have a First Amendment right on top of that, to do that. Now, this is what Merrick Garland said. This is what he said under oath. But it turns out he was not being truthful. And there's a whistleblower who has released an important document to the Republicans in the House. And the beauty of it is the document is an email that has been sent from the FBI. Now, we're going to go into this a little bit. The email was signed by Timothy Langan, the FBI's Assistant Director for Counterterrorism. It was also signed by Calvin Shivers, Assistant Director for the Bureau's Criminal Division. So these are like the top guys at the FBI, and they're signing a memo which says what? Well, it says that the counterterrorism and criminal divisions of the FBI have, quote, created a threat tag. And that tag is just called Edu Officials. That's the name of the tag, to track parents. It says, quote, we ask that your offices apply the threat tag to investigations and assessments of threats. The purpose of the threat tag is to help scope this threat on a national level. So what they're basically saying here is that we are, in fact, monitoring these parents for threats. We're doing this not just here or there based on, let's say, a report of a threat, but systematically. And in order to coordinate these efforts, we're giving a sort of threat label that you can pin onto these parents so we can collate where are these threats coming from, who are the parents who are involved, are they in cahoots with each other. So you have here clearly a system that is being organized by the top people at the FBI to target parents and to label them as potential domestic terrorists. And so we have a letter now that is going out from the Committee on the Judiciary, the Republicans, to Merrick Garland saying, what's the deal? You told us you're not doing this. You've repeatedly said that you're not doing this. In fact, I'm quoting Merrick Garland now, I do not think that parents getting angry at school boards for whatever reasons constitute domestic terrorism. It's not even a close question. Well, I don't think that it's possible to deny that an FBI system of doing this is going to have a deeply chilling effect on parents. It's going to scare parents. I mean, what normal family, what normal mom? I had a mom on the show yesterday, Stacey Langton. You think that she would not feel threatened at this idea that she could have some FBI label attached to her because, you know what, she was shrill on my podcast or she shouted at a board meeting? She's suddenly, a national security threat? This is the fear that Merrick Garland deceitfully, he denies he's doing it, but he apparently wants to do it. I mean, can you see what a wicked man this is and how actually relieved we should be that this thug with a badge is not on the Supreme Court? Imagine the kind of damage that he could inflict. So thank you, Mitch McConnell, for spiking this ball. Now, obviously, this guy has migrated his sly way into another position of authority. So he is the threat to national security. In fact, this guy, I think the Republicans should be unified in their demands that he resign. And they should use this episode. Now, the FBI has rushed to sort of try to undo the damage. I'm now quoting them. The FBI has never been in the business of investigating parents who speak out or policing speech at school board meetings. No one's saying that they're policing speech per se. What we're saying is that they've created a system of monitoring parents, of identifying them as threats, and of targeting them. So in other words, of trying to shut down the parents' movement under threat of coercion. What makes all this so shameful is that there's no distinction here between, look, there's not been a single case of parents hatching a plot to blow up a school board or assault a teacher. Not one known case, at least no case that I'm aware of, and no case that's been cited either in this letter or by Garland himself. So they're responding to what? They're responding to nothing more than organized parents' movements in multiple states. That's what's provoking this. And we've talked about the history of it, the way in which the Biden administration essentially colluded with the School Board Association to create a bogus request for monitoring. And then the Biden administration jumps on it, even though it's probably their original idea. And they're very determined to push forward on this. And so this is, again, a case where Republican passivity will continue to provoke Democratic aggression. And so Republicans, wake up, hang tough, apply a kind of political siege to Merrick Garland, because we've basically got a really bad guy in a position of great authority, and it's really important to try to root him out.